Well, we're back. We're back for Yellowstone Season 5, Episode number 2 this time. We just finished Episode 1. That's up now. Watched Episode 2. It was called The Sting of Wisdom. I liked it a little better than the first episode.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one did start off a little slow.
Mm.
But I guess there was a lot of things that they were trying to introduce as far as how John was the governor, or him becoming governor.
I had to give us all the information to jump where we jumped forward the 8 months, I guess. So.
And the episode ended pretty much with Monica. Her and Tate were trying to head to the hospital because she's going into labor, and they don't make it because she hits a
bison and a vehicle, I don't. It was kind of hard to tell what happened exactly.
I don't know if the bison made it out of that. I don't remember seeing it.
I would doubt it.
Because I know she swerved into the truck. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so the episode pretty much just starts with Tate waking up in the car, after the wreck.
Yeah. He's like stuck or something, or the seatbelt stuck. I wasn't really sure what he was messing with. It takes him a few minutes to get out of the car.
Yeah. And as he's going around looking for her, yelling for mom, which I know he's just a little kid, but he's still always, no matter what's happening, he always comes off as whiny to me. And I know he was just in a wreck, but
yeah.
So
still, you would be, or at least I would be. I would be just as panicked as he was with that. Okay, so it flashes to somebody laying on the ground, and doesn't look like they have all their parts, but I couldn't quite tell about that. And I assume that was the man in the truck.
The truck, I would guess.
I would assume he was dead. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know
they
if they
don't
ever
tell
even
us
say.
yet, or at least they haven't yet. Yeah. Then he finds Monica out in the middle. I don't know how she got that far away from the car.
I could see being ejected.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if she wasn't wearing her seatbelt, she didn't look like she had that much, damage to her. So I don't know if she went through a window, went through a windshield. The doors come open. I don't know. It didn't
she
look
got out and wandered over there. I don't know.
It didn't look like the car really rolled. And normally that's when you get ejected, is when it rolls and you get just slung out. But she tells him to grab the phone and or find his phone.
She tells him not to come over though. I guess she just didn't want him to see her. But he knew how to drop a pin and send it to 911 operator, and so that they knew where he was. So I thought, at least he knew how to do that.
Yeah, because sometimes he doesn't seem very competent.
Yeah, then it jumped to, because we'd already seen the hospital in the one before. Yeah, so then it jumps. So I think they showed us what happened in the wreck was maybe him thinking about it. I don't know. But then they forward to him sitting on the porch with his backpack. So he's waiting on Casey. I assumed to take him to school. I thought he was homeschooled by her. So I'm not really sure where he was waiting to go.
I don't know if he was going. Because they don't have like other family that he would go stay with.
That
or the two
would
of
be
them.
teaching him or homeschooling. So I don't know.
But he was upset over not, or I guess losing the brother. And he asked Casey if they're going to try again to have another.
Kind of says he doesn't know, basically. But he was worried about Monica. Wanted to know if she was going to be okay. And he, of course, explains it's a little harder on her than it was on even though it's hard on them, but a little harder on her. So,
but she does say that she wants to have a funeral for just them, for the family, for basically just them. I don't know how much of the family, but
and she says she wants to do that at the farm, at the ranch, at the Dutton Ranch,
and wants to bury the baby John on at the ranch too,
so that they can always visit.
Which is kind of an odd thing for her. You wouldn't think that she's ever had that real attachment to the ranch. She's always been kind of opposed to it.
Yeah, I know, and they have their own place now, and I assumed they had lots of land, it looked like, with that house, but I don't know. Maybe they weren't that attached to that house, and so that...
Maybe.
But, no, they have that attachment to the ranch.
Or maybe she just felt, maybe she's been, I won't say wrong, but this time that she's realizing the importance of family and people together after losing a baby. I don't know
what because he was kind of surprised. Oh, okay. It was like, okay.
But like you said, wants to bury him there so that they can visit, which is kind of 1883 with
Elsa.
That's where her mom, when Elsa was dying, that's what she wanted to bury her, and they wanted to settle
wherever
she died, so that she would be able to visit her every day.
Yeah, and so he made it. That's what they made it to Montana,
and that's where the tree is that their family is at.
Yeah, because the older son, I don't know what his name was. It dies in the very first or second. I think it's the second episode, but at the very beginning,
season,
he dies, and that's where they bury him.
There too.
Yeah.
But then it jumps to Rip with Carter, and he tells him to saddle John's horse.
That was kind of funny and kind of.
Which I don't know why he was having. I mean, I guess John's horse needed to be worked.
That's why he said you got to ride it.
Kind of a step up for Carter to be riding his horse.
Yeah. Either way, it was going to be either Rip or one of the other cowboys, so I don't know.
Right.
You had said earlier, Rip seems to want to be nice to people, but then...
It's just so aggressive about how he does it. Because I think him getting Carter to ride John's horse was a real nice symbolic thing of including Carter in it, not just because it's a means to an end. Somebody has to ride it. And when you see him when he's riding the horse, when he's at the beginning, when he's herding cows in that one part right before the accident, you see Rip watching him, and Rip kind of has a smile on his face as he's watching him work the cows.
But jumping back to when he's getting ready to saddle the horse, Rip just gets too frustrated. He can't wait. He's being too slow. Rip gets frustrated and says, Lloyd, deal with this. Leave it. And Lloyd's real patient, but then finally he keeps saying, what else? What else? And Lloyd goes, we don't have time for what else. Get on the horse.
What was it, the quote that Rip said to him when he was talking about God didn't make extra daylight on Tuesdays for this or something? Yeah, because he was going so slow.
Even Lloyd makes the comment, you do this 15 times a day. What's the problem? He's like, I don't do it for myself.
Right. And he ends up wearing Lloyd's old chaps.
Lloyd said maybe.
They look like they used to be something. He might have just been saying that because they look so old. And Lloyd's been there forever.
But later, that's what Rip says he fell in a badger hole, or Lloyd did. Somebody say he fell in a badger hole. The horse did, I guess.
When he tells John about it. Yeah.
I guess the horse's leg or legs were broken, but so is Carter's arm.
But they had to shoot the horse, not Carter, though.
I'm glad they didn't shoot him. I don't know if they took Carter to the vet or if he got to go to a real doctor. There wasn't anything shady going on, so maybe he got to go to a real doctor for that.
I was actually expecting, when it happened, I was expecting him to make Carter shoot the horse.
Yeah.
Then it jumps to John at the Capitol, and he's, I guess, getting his first dose of day-to-day life as the governor with his, I guess she's his assistant.
Yeah, that's the way I take it. She's his assistant.
Or one of his aides. Going over his what do they call it? The football, his schedule.
That's what she called it.
His,
because he said the folder, give her the folder, and she says it's a football.
Yeah, because he's upset about how much garbage he's going to have to go through that's meaningless. And even Linnell, the former governor, that's what she tells him when he asks, well, what is this for? Why do we do this? And she said, well, it all amounts to nothing. Yeah. Other than it's politics. You
gotta
have to
play
do
the game
to get favors.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any interest in doing any of that.
He calls his chief of staff in, or he gets her to call the chief of staff in. Fires him immediately. You ask him a question, then he's trying to answer, and he just fires him and appoints Beth as his chief of staff.
One of the, I guess, bills that he was going to be backing, that John supposedly was backing, that he didn't know anything about.
Right, it was something about education.
Yeah.
But
and he wanted to know which one of his friends was the one that was, I guess, making the money off of that.
Right. And he didn't even let him finish answering, just
fired him, told him to get out.
Yeah.
And so now Beth is his chief of staff.
Yeah, about Linnell.
But she says that she'll, I guess, keep up with a lot of the things that he's not going to do.
Well, for the month,
because she's only going to be helping him for a month.
Right. She said, I can absorb some of this, but...
they're trying to figure out how to get out of the airport lease, because that's John's whole goal, is just to stop the airport, stop all of that advancement, the growth, the development.
Yeah, Jamie says, though, they're going to sue you and sue him personally, not...
Right, not as the governor.
Right. But Beth kind of mentioned some little loophole that she says something about, because the land is supposed to be agricultural.
Yeah, that's what it's zoned for.
Right.
They have to get the zoning changed.
And so technically nothing has really happened yet because it hasn't been changed. And that's what Jamie says. Well, governors do that all the time. And he was like, well, I'm not doing it.
Right, yeah. So, Beth, since she's now the
chief of
staff, she tells his assistant to book a drink, kind of like a lunch type thing at the one restaurant bar.
Oh, yeah.
With the other two guys on the one committee is who's in charge of the zoning where they would approve.
Oh, yeah.
They convinced the two of them to sign off on denying it.
They were kind of very hesitant until he said he was going to put the land in
an environmental trust.
Which means it can't ever be separated. Well, the way I understood it was couldn't ever be separated or sold, or it had to be, sold. But then Beth freaks out and was like, no, you know, do you want to do that? We can't sell off any to pay even taxes or bills if we need to, if you do that. And he didn't care. He wanted it.
Yeah, he's either going to lose the entire farm or keep the entire farm. That's his only two options I think he's looking at.
Yeah. Linnell starts talking to John, and that's what she talks about. All the stuff that he needs to do, tries to back Jamie up with what he was saying, but she tells him if he doesn't play the game plays you.
The brother and sister fighting, she keeps yelling for him. She wants to talk to him, and he just keeps walking away, and he goes to his office. But then he, closes the door in front of her, and then, of course, she just goes right in and then slams it hard and says that's how you slam a door.
Yeah.
Here they are in the Capitol.
Yeah, I guess so.
They're acting like kids, arguing and slamming doors. And
other than her just pretty much reminding him of that she has power over him. I don't know what any of that conversation was about, but that's where we find out that he had sold his ranch. So she tells him he has to come home on the weekends so she can keep an eye on him.
She doesn't like the idea of him and John being alone, but she doesn't like
I think she's afraid that he'll convince John of some stuff that she doesn't agree to.
Yeah, and then the cowboys, where they're out working, they find a downed, dead mama cow, and Rips thought it was wolves, and Ryan said something else, that the wolves ate it, because Lloyd makes a comment about it, and that's what he says. Well, they ate it, they just didn't kill it.
Yeah, Rip's not concerned with that at all, and I don't know why, but he wasn't.
Which I don't know what would have killed it then if it wouldn't have, because later they do the flashback scene with the
that's why I don't know if that had to do with they go find the calf and take it off, and he tells them to go look for the wolves or something, doesn't he?
And so they go out hunting for them. Get to see the Sarah Atwood from Market Equities. She flies in, and she's kind of like a little more sophisticated version of Beth, is how aggressive
reserved
she is. But she, the woman that plays her was the woman that played the sister in 1883, James's sister, the one that died.
Yeah, at the beginning. Yeah, the one that shot herself.
Yeah, second episode. Second or third. Real early on. Yeah. Which Taylor Sheridan likes to recycle actors. A lot of the actors that he uses will be in a lot of different series that he uses, or that he does.
Yeah, we realize Rainwater says something about that he's having a press conference. Yeah. And that's what Caroline says that too, or something you see with them with different people. They're not together at different places.
They're all watching.
And so they go to watch. Of course, Caroline knows what he's going to do because that's what his campaign ran on, she said. So that's what's Before he goes to do the press conference, Jamie warns him once again, making a mistake, and that he's signed a declaration of war. And John says the war's already started.
Yeah, so he gives the little freedom speech.
Yeah, so his press conference starts,
Freedom. Been thinking a lot about that lately. The word, what it means. The dictionary thinks that it means the power or right to think, speak, or act as one wants without hindrance or restraint. As governor of this state, I'm sworn to protect that right. Building a city in the middle of our most pristine wilderness strips you of that freedom. It eliminates your freedom to breathe clean air and drink clean water. It strains the ability of our schools, our hospitals, and our police. That requires an increase in our taxes, which in turn strains our families, forcing you to decide if you can even afford to live in a place that you call home. That's not progress in my mind. That's an invasion.
It's an invasion. He's always so dramatic.
Yeah.
But then he just signs the executive order and pretty much just stops all of it.
And then Jamie has to notarize it or whatever, I guess.
And everybody's mad about it.
Yeah.
Caroline and...
Yeah. Sarah, she says it's like doing business in Utah, she says. But the assistant says, yeah, but in Utah, they want to do business. Here, they don't.
No.
So.
Yeah, and she says that she likes it when Caroline's mad. Yeah.
Because it's going to make her a lot of money.
Yeah. Beth and them going back.
That's when she's going into the bar.
Oh, to get her.
So she goes into the parking her Bentley or having them, I guess.
Valet.
But, valet and has a Bentley and they discuss it for a minute and then she goes into the bar. And then, of course, there's some guy in the bar.
Yeah, that kind of hits on her.
Yeah, she has some big long guessing of who he is and then he just gets mad and leaves. But she warned him ahead of time.
Yeah,
she gave him warning. She said, you can walk away now with your dignity or I can just do it. And then she does.
So, he says, give it your best shot.
Yeah.
And she destroys him.
Yeah. So. Tucks tail and runs. And she says, as she grabs her drink to leave the bar, she says, I love this bar. They come back and Beth.
Because she makes a comment about that they're back for 8 hours.
Yeah.
So they need to squeeze, what'd she say?
8 hours of loving and a week's worth of loving in 8 hours. Yeah. So, she said that to Rip, yeah.
Because, Rip tells John about his horse.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem to care.
He was not that concerned.
That Carter got hurt, wanted to make sure more that Carter was fine than the horse, I guess.
Which should really mostly be your, concern. But I realize horses cost lots of money, too. So a lot of people get a...
But that's what John said. Basically, that could have happened to anybody. And that's what they're for. He views them as a tool to use on the farm, I guess. And then, Ryan and Colby are out hunting
in the middle of the night.
Yeah. And they're using their thermal scopes to see, and they see the wolves come back on the one cow.
Yeah.
So they shoot, I think they shoot all 5 of them.
Was there 5?
Yeah,
I knew there was at least 4.
I thought they had, because they kept going back and forth talking about whether they had the tags for them or didn't have the tags for them. Because John asked Rip when he told him that they were out there hunting for them.
Yeah.
So that's why I think when Ryan, because after they shoot them, they realize that they were from the Yellowstone Park, from the national park, because they had the GPS tracker collars on. And that's what he's like, well, it's all legal, so we're fine. You got the tags, right?
That's what Colby said.
Yeah. And Ryan just kind of gives him a look, and he's like, oh.
And he's like, oh.
So I don't know if they didn't get the tags or if Ryan was trying to say,
doesn't matter because they're from the park.
Right, because how famous those wolves were.
Right, he said they're on cameras. He's like, we're going to have people standing here.
Yeah. And then it does a big flashback jump to, I'm not, on the other flashbacks, when they were doing the flashbacks to 1883 time. Mm-hmm. In the earlier seasons of Yellowstone, I really like those flashbacks. These flashbacks now to younger John, I don't really care a whole lot about. I like the younger Rip stuff in the story, but the younger John stuff, I don't really care.
Well, I didn't really understand how that fit in, but we might figure that out later. I don't know if it had to do with the cow.
Right, that's what I was thinking, having something to do with the chemicals back then.
Maybe, but I don't know, because I don't know how he knew it was a chemical, though, that killed the cow and not the wolves.
Well, so he said there was no bite marks on its haunches, because the wolves, when they would attack a cow, the cow's going to run.
Okay.
And they would bite and take its legs out first. And there were no bite marks on any of the legs. So that means the animal was already down
for some reason. Right.
When they came up and ate it.
Just could have been that it was sick, but maybe that's what Rip was thinking too. And so he just wasn't concerned.
Right. And it was just one.
Right, it wasn't a whole bunch.
A whole field full.
Then Rip would go, okay, we got a problem. But
like in the flashback, that's what they are, is at the river because of the water. You see the fish floating in the water, and some of the calves are dead. The cows are dead.
Right.
And John goes, because they're putting in cell towers. I guess they're needing the chemicals because they can't get dozers up there to clear it all out and to do what they need to do for it. So they just use chemicals to kill everything. And all the brush and...
less maintenance later, I guess, to maintain. But he keeps saying, the guy that John punches, he says something about the EPA. I have a permission from the EPA or something. Right. But he hands him a card because he asked him, and he hands him
like on whose
card.
Authority.
Yeah, and so John takes the card, and
they end up going back that night and trashing where they were working,
their equipment,
and they push the dozer over the hill, or not push it, but they start it and
roll it,
drive it.
So they did have dozers up there, so that was the confusing part. They also steal the chemicals, and then they go hunt that guy down. Well, I don't know if it's the same guy that John punched, or if it's or the guy on the card that they gave John.
It was kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, then they whack him, and then you can tell they've sprayed the chemicals on him and on his yard right there, because the birds are dead, and the tree's dead, and the grass is dead, and he wakes up and starts screaming and runs and jumps in the shower. Probably could have killed him. Maybe it did later. They didn't show, because then that ended the flashbacks, though.
But John always does get a little upset when you mess with the ranch and the animals and the workers and anything to do with it.
I mean, I can understand getting upset. Just maybe the reactions, you gotta go about it the right way.
Yeah. Then it jumps back to present day. Ryan and Colby are struggling to figure out what to do with the wolves. So that's what when Rip comes out there and has them put the collars on little wood logs. Because I guess the idea is to just send them down the river. Because he wanted them on there loose
to go back. We have to go back in the park, or take him back in the park. Is what he said.
I thought he was just going to send them down the river, that they would be far enough away from the ranch that nobody would be able to trace it back to the ranch. And I don't even know if they would put that much research into it to find out what happened.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he wanted them to put it on the log loose enough so that it would fall off eventually off the log.
Yeah.
And then if they find the collar, wherever they find it, it'll be
away from
there. But the one gets hung up on the log in some brush.
Yeah, you see that at the very end.
Yeah.
It jumps back to the house with John sitting on the porch, and his assistant, Claire, whatever she is, comes out and is just in awe by the land, which I would love to visit there too. The views that they keep showing on there and everything are great.
It'd be something worth fighting for.
Right, you can understand why, our mountains aren't near as big. And when I drive over the mountain someday, thinking about it, and I'm looking, and
you forget when you're in it every day. Sometimes it's easy to take it for granted.
I still sometimes have to stop and take pictures, though, if there's, the leaves are changing, or I don't know, if it's finally spring when you felt like it's been winter forever.
I guess that's all on this episode.
You'll have to come back on.
We'll have episode 3 when it should air Sunday evening, and then we'll do an episode 3. We'll keep up with it each week as it comes out, and then I guess they're doing 7 episodes before the Christmas break, and then December 18th was what we figured up.
Something like that.
1923 starts.
Both of those. Well, actually all 3, because you got to watch Tulsa King too.
Too.
Lots of sitting on the couch watching TV.
Yeah, a lot of the Taylor Sheridan shows. Just let us know what you thought of the episode, and let us know if you are looking forward to 1923. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We just crossed over the 400 mark, and we would really like to make it to that 500 subscriber mark. Every sub counts, and we appreciate every one of them. Just want to thank you for watching and listening. Hopefully see you back for episode 3.
Yeah.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.